Hello, this is Laura Davalo, and today I'm stopping by to show you how to create this cute double slider card with a bunch of buzzing bees. They appear from behind the extra large bouquet when we move the pull tab. To save some time, I did most of the prep work off camera. This gorgeous stamp set designed by Stacy Yakula is called Bunny Bouquet, and it's perfect to hide our 5 bees from the Buzzing with Happiness stamp set. I colored them with COPIC markers and added a little bit of glossy accents to their bodies. I cut the strip of ground out of Field Day cardstock and added some droplets of Field Day and Jalapeno Popper Premium Dye ink. I cut the pull tab twice out of matching cardstock and stacked them with liquid glue to make it really sturdy. The word pull is from the Interactive Labels stamp set. To create the main panel, I used the largest die from the A2 Stitched Rectangle Stack Set 1 Dynamics, the Cloud Stencil and Summer Splash Premium Dye ink. Let's start by cutting some thin acetate strips for the mechanism with the pull tab slider dynamic set. I always like to sandwich it between printer paper to get a clean cut. You might still have to file the edges a little bit though. I already added some foam tape to the lower edge of our main image, and now I'm going to center it on the panel. It's quite large and would fit better on a vertical card panel, but we need the width for the bees. Now I'm tracing around the image so I know where to place the bees in their initial position. Let's add a stop to the left so that the pull tab can't be pushed in too far. I'm going to leave a little room under it for a thin strip of foam tape. Here I'm drawing a couple of pencil marks, 1¼ inches left and right from the center of the panel. I cut a 1/2 inch wide strip of cellophane from a stamp package. I didn't measure it, but it needs to be at least 5¼ inches long. The pull tab doesn't have to slide very far, less than 1 inch actually, but it's good to leave some wiggle room. Besides the 2 vertical slits for our double slider loop mechanism, we also need to cut a horizontal slit slightly above. A T-ruler is okay, but the square and bevel are easier to use, especially when cutting with a craft knife. I like to start with a soft hand and pass the blade several times in the same groove to get a nice clean cut. I made all of the slits about 1/16 of an inch or 1.5 millimeters wide. Off camera, I added a piece of score tape to one end of the cellophane strip, and now I'm ready to pull it through the vertical slits and tape it together to create a little loop. Let's snip off that extra piece of cellophane. Next, I'm going to adhere another strip of score tape to the loop so that we can attach the pull tab to it. But before we do that, we need to create a little collar so that the pull tab can slide straight. You've seen me do it dozens of times, but I'll include the footage just in case any beginner interactive crafters have joined us today. Okay, there we go. Let's try it out. This seems to be working nicely. The next step is to trim our acetate strips so that we can adhere one to the pull tab and the other one to the loop on the back. I've already adhered score tape to the end of both strips, and I've marked the center to have a reference point. I'm attaching the first acetate strip just to the right of the mark, and we're going to slide the second one through the horizontal slip so that we can adhere it to our cellophane loop. To make it easier, I'll hold them in place with some tape on the front. I've already peeled off the backing, and here I'm adhering it to the loop. Make sure that there isn't any extra tape sticking to the card panel itself or the mechanism won't work. Now we can peel off the tape and try our mechanism. It's working nicely, although we'll need to limit the movement. That's why I'm tracing around the stamp again. You could barely see my first marks on camera. The acetate strips should stay covered by the bouquet image, so we don't want to be able to pull the tab further out. I'll just add another little strip as a stop. It's slightly wider, or should I say taller, than the pull tab. Next, we're going to cut the remaining acetate strips into 5 shorter bits for the bees. I'm adhering some of them in an angle, and once again it's important that there isn't any exposed tape that could hinder the movement of the mechanism. You can always go in with some talcum powder or starch afterwards to get rid of any stickiness. This part is all about trying out what works. I really can't give you any specific measurements here. If you wanted to, you could also make a couple of the strips longer so that some bees would be visible from the beginning, but I prefer the surprise element. Okay, now that we're done with that part, we can trim these pieces so that we can add a little bit of foam tape to the back of the bouquet. But before that, I'm gonna erase all of our pencil markings. I jumped ahead a little bit, and here I'm adding a strip of foam tape to the lower edge of my panel. I could trim the tape there before the acetate stop, but I prefer trimming it instead, since it'll still work because of the extra piece on the upper edge. Okay, here I'm adding a couple of pieces of double foam tape to the back of 2 of the flowers, and now I'm ready to adhere the ground strip to the main panel. I like to do it this way because I have more control and it won't be wonky. Let me just add a little bit of foam tape here in the corner, and then we can use a green marker to paint the edge of the panel so that you won't see the white panel from the sides. Next, we can peel off the backing of the score tape and adhere it to our card base. I chose black, but any matching color would look nice. I forgot to peel off the backing of these 2 pieces of foam tape. There we go. Our card is finished. Thank you so much for staying with me till the end. I hope it was worth it and you enjoyed this tutorial. As always, you'll find all of the information in the description box or on my blog. Have a great day. Bye bye. Hasta la próxima.